Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here in Foley Square. We're covering the Southern District of New York Courthouse today. It's Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. Now, today there will be the sentencing of a guy called Roger Thomas Clark. We've covered his case before. It's part of the Silk Road. Silk Road trial is still going on. Not trials. He's going to be sentenced today. At least it's scheduled. And so we'll be covering it. Now, yesterday, in the larger courthouse behind me, there was a entirely sealed proceeding. I'd gone up to cover something on the 18th floor, and suddenly I saw security officers. Prosecutor went in, and when I tried to go in, I was unable to go in. I was told, you can't come in. It can happen. Courtrooms can be sealed, but usually, certainly if the government asks for it, it's supposed to be Main Justice that requests it. Not at all clear that took place here. If it's done by the defense, I guess it all depends. We've pursued this at times in the past, and we've gotten rulings from Magistrate Judge Gorenstein, District Judge Marrero. At some point, it may have to go to the Second Circuit because it's becoming all too common to simply take the ball and go home without explaining why, without giving an opportunity for someone to oppose it in a meaningful way. So we'll just leave it for that. But in a more kind of back and forth one, in the shorter courthouse, it looks the same size behind my shoulder, but Rovier Carrington, he's a gentleman that sued a guy called Graydon of Paramount/MTV, saying that he'd been raped. He then pled guilty, saying that had been false, and then on the eve of sentencing, he filed a new civil suit alleging essentially the same thing, suing not Graydon but Paramount, and trying to change lawyers. Judge Caproni allowed him to change lawyers, but remanded him. At first, at 3 o'clock, she remanded him temporarily, so there was a quote-unquote walker, between 40 and 500. And then, later in the afternoon, in a hearing, she said, you will remain detained. You will remain detained. You violated a court order that said you can't keep alleging things that you pled guilty to, saying that they were false. Speaking of falsity, the UN is full of them. We cover them in great detail at UNESCO, in the Secretariat, and yet the UN bans inner city press from entering. We have appealed, and we are pursuing it legally to be continued.